Hey everyone, and welcome and thank you for watching yet another podcast. And it's my second podcast. And so last time I interviewed Mike Ivy, a coach and mentor in my life. And now I've got Stephen Mortlock with me. Stephen, so good to have you on this podcast. And thank you for agreeing to be my second victim. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Good to be here. And yeah, thanks for asking me to join.
So, Steve, what we're trying to do is, Steve, for everyone, Steve is the founder of a company called Sinani Energy. He's going to tell his story in a minute of how he started it and how he's grown it and what Sinani Energy is. And I've got the wonderful job of working alongside Steve and been working with him for 2.5 years now, I guess. Although we did know each other from my previous life in Energy Drive. And it's been a wonderful journey working with you, Steve, and your business. And the journey's not ended yet. But I know that what you're doing in Sinani is very similar to what a lot of other of my clients and people in business are doing. And I thought we could just discuss and talk about that. But so, Steve, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us, firstly, Steve, are you married? Tell us about your kids. Tell us a little bit about who is Steve today.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I am married. I grew up in South Africa, Eastern Cape, studied at UCT. I did engineering. I've got 2 children now. I've got 2 boys, 6 and 9. I always wanted a brother, and I ended up with 2 sons that now keep me very busy. I studied engineering, worked in the engineering field for a number of years, and through my career, 2015, started Sinani Energy with 2 friends, and we've been on quite a journey since.
Amazing, amazing. So let's talk about Sinani Energy. What is Sinani Energy? What is it that you do? What's the outcome of your business here?
Yeah, so Sinani Energy provides energy solutions. The focus of the business is very much around adding value to our clients and bringing a value proposition that isn't smoke and mirrors and makes a difference to the client. I think that creates sustainability for our business and ultimately sustainability for our clients. Yeah, we offer various energy solutions and in the commercial, industrial, agri space, and a
So
lot
it's
more to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I know that I think you put yourself down. So, Sinani is one of the leading solar companies in South Africa. And, if you go and Google it, in fact, it's interesting because Energy Drive and Sinani used to compete for the best sustainability company in the country. And here we are working together. We're 10 years in now with Sinani, the early days. What was it like running Sinani in the early days? Just maybe give us a little insight. The first year, 2 years, what was it like?
But Dave, I think a lot of that time feels a lot. There's a big blur around it. I think we started a business. Myself, Matt, and Bong started with an idea of the business. We kind of had a plan, I want to say, but when that plan started, we ended up just making decisions day in and day out, and we could sit around a table then and problem solve a lot of things. As the business grew, it became more and more challenging. When I look back on those days when we started Sinani, we made lots of mistakes. We could have done things a lot better with a bit of guidance. Maybe if you weren't so busy with Energy Drive, it would have helped to get you
So it's my
involved in
fault.
those days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we've won a few achievements over Energy Drive these days. So
You
you
did.
probably should have seen the light there. But
That's so true.
yeah,
Yeah. And it's interesting you say about these decisions because at an early stage of the business, it is literally the three of you sitting around a room making very quick decisions about things. And, there's an agility, isn't there? And in the early stages of a business. Also, I know you're quite a relational guy. How did it feel in the business? I mean, was it an exciting time? How did it feel, in those early days?
yeah, Dave, I think a lot of mixed emotions come to mind when you say how did it feel.
Mm.
Huge excitement. We used to find a new client, find a new opportunity, chase it down like anything, fly all over the country, meet with a new prospect or a new opportunity. It created huge excitement. A lot of phone calls to one another, trying to figure out how best to make this happen, ensure that what we were offering was right for the client. Also takes time with what we do. together with that, a lot of frustration. There was trying to figure out where we're going, trying to figure out what we're doing. No, I don't think that made it. It made it difficult, but it was super exciting.
Yeah.
The little wins we had day to day, week to week, the cash flow pressure. We had 2 weeks to 6 weeks of cash flow. Then sometimes maybe negative cash flow. We didn't even know it. We couldn't to finance a vehicle was challenging, but also we didn't know how to ask, where to ask. So I think a lot of the basic things which we take for granted that we do now were super challenging then. And could have saved ourselves a lot of time and heartache, and if we maybe had the right people or asked the right questions at that time.
Well, that's interesting because, we don't know what we don't know, right? That's the key thing. When you start a company, you don't actually know what you don't know. So you make the most of what you do. And then with hindsight, you look back and go, if only I'd known that, right? I'd have done it differently. So, there came a point, though, in your business growth where you started to realize I needed some help. We need to change something here. Maybe you can talk to me a little bit about that, Steve. You as the CEO, when did you start to feel, okay, we need to transition somehow, something needs to change?
Yeah, I don't think at any point in our journey it was, I still don't feel like that, like a big light came on at any point in time and this needs to happen or that needs to happen. I think it's a constant learning, a journey we're constantly learning on, and, we need to adapt to those changes. I think, as we grew, the number of decisions daily just grew and grew. I don't even think I realized the decision fatigue I was under. I would have to get home and decide what's for dinner, and I'd say to my wife that if I don't think I can make another decision today. So as we were growing and as the business was growing, the number of decisions every day just grew and grew. There are only so many hours in the day. There are only so many places you can be at a time. And I think the realization of not being able to make all those decisions every day, the business is either going to fail or was going to continue. So I think that brought on a structure change. And I think, a big part of when you joined was part of that transition and that change, which again, in hindsight, seems like an easy thing.
I remember the first time I met with you and your team and talked about how we have to move from a founder-centered to a distributed leadership model, or an SME, a small medium enterprise model. And we use words like you have to form a board, and you have to have an exco, and you have to have a manco. And we talked about how you can't make all the decisions together, the three of you, that you have to delegate. One of the three of you needed to become a CEO. Do you remember that conversation?
For sure.
Maybe how did it feel for you? I mean, starting to, have to distribute and start delegating out and trusting others to do stuff rather than you doing it all yourself.
Yeah, I think we've got a very strong management team in the business, and, that we'd been growing as founders for, since the business started. So the challenge was, from a founder's side, was, our roles and responsibilities and what was required from us in the business. And I think from a management team in the business, they were looking to us to also understand who was responsible for what role in the business. I think the change from when I became CEO was difficult on my side, but I think difficult for all of us. You've been doing something for so long, and all of a sudden with change, it creates huge uncertainty of what does this mean and where are we going. So I think the change was tough for the founders to get on board and actually understand that it was needed. But at the same time, if we didn't have that change, our manco would will also not have survived if they didn't have the right guidance from the founders.
Yeah. And how did it, your relationships with the founders? I know What happened there? Because fundamentally things are changing at the core level, the three of you. How was that affected by you now becoming CEO and changing almost your role with them?
Yeah, I think we were school friends that started a business. We've known each other for a very long time. We're a business that's built around trust and relationships. So yeah, I think there was an importance within our relationships and the trust that ensured that our relationship could get through that change. But yeah, Dave, it's tough. I mean, it's something we do every day. I think having partners in a business is one of the most challenging things people can experience. You married at home, and now you're married at the office. But yeah, I mean, outside from the challenges, I think coming through those changes and realizing we're playing to our strengths within the business has brought a new sense of friendship, a new sense in the business of where we fit in and how we play to our strengths. So the change was tough, and I think we're still going through a transition at the moment. But yeah, I have no doubt we'll come out on the other side stronger people with stronger relationships.
I love that. And, that is very true about Sinani. The depth of trust and depth of relationships hasn't deviated. It's gone through transition. Every founder group of founders that then has to delegate out responsibility and leadership, there is always a shaking, right? They say every change is a crisis of insecurity. And I think we've been through that crises of insecurity, right?
Yeah.
And there's a question here I'm going to read off my sheet here, which I love to. As Sinani has expanded beyond South Africa into international markets, including the Middle East, what new leadership challenges then have emerged for you? So if you started to expand beyond the borders of South Africa and now you've got the Middle East operations, what are the new challenges that you've had to adapt to?
Yeah, I think it's the realization of where a business is at that point in time. From within South Africa, we a lot more established and we've got good structures and we know how to do what we're good at. I think bringing in the Middle East as a new region brought a lot more challenges. I don't think we fully understood how it integrated into Sinani South Africa and Sinani Global as a whole. I don't think my realization of understanding that that within the UAE we are starting out and we're back to where we were 10 years ago. We're trying to figure out suppliers. We're trying to figure out the basics. I think transitioning from one region to another based on where that region is at that time requires a different leadership style. For a long time, it's getting back to ground level in the UAE, kind of add the value that we set out to do in South Africa when we started. So understanding that has been challenging. It's been a number of years now, so I hope we're getting better. We've definitely learned a lot. We're still making lots of mistakes. And from my side, it's continuously learning and growing in my role and what I need to do for the business as a whole.
And I think that is one of the themes that comes out over and over and over when I listen to you and many other growing CEOs is it's a continual learning and unlearning process, right? You continually needing to learn new stuff and then let go of stuff that you once served you. Some of the things, the way that you ran Sinani in the early years served you, but now longer serve you. And then you have to willingly let go, right? And I think that's been part of the experience here. There are a number of people I'm talking to that are about to hire a general manager to start to look after the general operations of their company. You've been through this process. What advice would you give to someone that's realizing that they're the bottleneck and they need to hire someone in and start to do this? Having been through this, what's your advice to them?
Well, I'll give them the advice wise man Phil Dave gave me. I think trying to replace yourself in a business with one person is never going to happen. You need to find multiple people to replace roles within the organization that can replace the stuff that you do, and that is replaceable. I think bringing someone externally in brings change, and that change also comes with its own difficulties. I think part of the change that I've gone through with bringing a general manager in is he brings other strengths and a different way of thinking. Yeah, it's very easy for me to jump back in and say, well, this is how we've always done it, or this is the way we, this is the way we do, this is the Sinani way, as we call it. So yeah, I think there's a bit of letting go, which is needed through the process, and it's also shifted my thinking of different control measures to ensure that I still have the right touch points within the business, knowing where we're going. Yeah, there's a balance. It's like I say, there's good that comes in, and you need to let that good run. Yeah, and the change is good. It's not sustainable for me to keep doing things the way I've been doing for a number of years.
That's the key here, isn't it? It's not sustainable. We spoke a lot about the fruit of an apple tree, right? Fruit of an apple tree is not an apple, it's an orchard. And, when we first build something, it's all about getting the first tree right. And I think you did an amazing job of that in the first 10 years. But then it's about how do we reproduce that tree so it doesn't become dependent. And you mentioned, and so you brought a GM in who's going to take on that. You've distributed a lot of the leadership to a lot of the people. What's my timer? And then it can leave you feeling almost not needed, almost a spare part at some point. And there you have to do the identity check. Who am I? What am I? What's this about? Maybe you've got a moment you could just reflect on that experience.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think, the last 8 months, 9 months now, it's so easy to jump back in or want to jump back in. And it's for two reasons. It's exciting jumping back in and fixing a solution or fixing a problem. That creates excitement, and also, I would have seen something like it before. It's easy to just get back in and make it go away. But as I said, that's unsustainable. I can't be the bottleneck in terms of figuring out those problems. And we've got highly competent people in our organization that we entrust with making those decisions and figuring out those problems. So so I think it's easy to want to get back in. Like I say, it's for various reasons.
Yeah.
But the need to let go is empowering the organization to grow. The individuals or the GM in the business are gonna make the right decision, and the sustainability of the organization will continue. Yeah, I think it's a bit of letting go, and and trusting.
I love the use of the word. Right. So what I'm hearing is I want to build something that's sustainable, something that lasts is another way of saying it. I want to build something where people are learning, and trust is at the cornerstone or the foundation of what I'm building. And those seem to come from you a lot, trust and sustainability, which I really, really enjoy. So my last question, and then we're done. What advice would you give to a young person who's about to start their first business in the world? If you could give yourself advice 10 years ago and you would listen, because that's obviously the prerequisite, what advice would you give them?
So is this to start a business or to get out of the founder role? Which one?
Well, I'd like to hear you talk about both. Let's start with whichever.
Okay, so we'll touch on both. So I think starting a business. If I knew now what I know now in 2015, would I do it all over again? My answer is no. It came at huge sacrifice and challenge and cost to do it. But having learned what I've learned through the journey would make me do it again. So I think the answer is yes and no on that side. So I think if you've got a want to do it, and you got a passion for something, 100% go the journey. The reward through the journey is massive. It's hugely challenging, and it's got lots of ups and downs. I think from transitioning from founder-led to SME, or more structured business, I think the question I ask myself is, or have asked myself for a while, is, do I want to continue doing what I'm doing in the fashion I'm doing it? And that, yeah, for me, there's a lot of things I'm not good at. I know that. And basic admin or HR, yeah, I mean, you can ask a lot of people. My admin is not very good. Yeah, I think that part of the business I've had to let go. And it's been good. I don't want to keep doing those things because it's not my strength and where I'm good at. So I think the transition of where I'm going is allowing me to get back to focusing on my strengths. And I'm excited for the journey ahead. I'm excited for where Sinani is going and getting back involved in terms of, why we founded the business.
Mm. I love that. You, yeah, you
Yeah,
you
no,
said something which,
I think,
go on.
no, I think I'm finished on that point.
There's something I want to reiterate, which you said there, and it's something Mike Ivey touched on. You have to do what you're passionate about doing and you love doing. If you're doing what you love doing, you will find energy. You'll make it through those tough times. You'll make the sacrifice to do it. And you've said that a number of times in our conversation. It's got to come from your desire and you love. And Steve, I know you love the work that you do. I know a lot of the founders I work with, they love what they do. If you can couple that with also the ability of building something sustainable, knowing that you're not going to be around forever there, but it could be,
Yeah,
then I think you're starting to really build something that's really got legacy. Those words like legacy. It's all well and good to pretend that you've put a shelf up on a wall, but if you walk away and the shelf falls down, then what was the whole point? The point is to build something that lasts there. Steve, I want to thank you. You've shared from your heart today. And if people want to get in touch with you directly and just chat with you, are you open? Are you open to that? I guess I'll put you on the spot now.
yeah, 100%. Like I said, I think one conversation with you has changed my life,
Oh,
and
you're very gracious.
often very happy to to be that one conversation for someone else. Yeah, reach out, happy to help where I can between all the other chaos.
Amazing. Steve, thanks again for participating, and I hope that the success of Sinani is going to go on from strength to strength. We'll chat again soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.